to finally got a name for my sports talk. I don't know if it's a podcast or just content, but we're just gonna flow with it. But it's called PG Pressure, y'all. Thinking about the context, the concept of a point guard bringing pressure, on defense, but also repping that good old PG County, uh, combining into one, and we're calling this PG Pressure. And so, what a great moment to really cap off, just really kind of making this official. It's day one of free agency. And we got to talk a little bit about what's going on in the free agency world. It's crazy. It is crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. As free agency leading up to it, it's typically, especially day one, a lot of people signing a lot of contracts. This year, I would say, is the year of the role player. We didn't see a lot of big names, making waves in this free agency, but it's all about the role players because as we saw the last couple of years, it's teams who are making the smaller moves to help them elevate to that next level. This is not the era of the super team. This is not the era of the big three anymore. This is about more well balanced teams moving forward, at least right now, in this particular journey of the NBA. Again, going back to former conversations, talking about Indiana, talking about Oklahoma City, and the way that they built their teams, not superstar dominated, but players who fit certain roles, is the way to go right now. And so teams are picking up on that and trying to build their teams differently. And so we saw a lot of player movement today. I didn't really get a chance to talk about the draft yet. I'm going to kind of do some talking about the draft probably maybe over the next few days, talk about some of the draft winners and losers. I might kind of mention that in some of these free agency moves. But day one in free agency, we look at some of the bigger moves that were made. And of course, free agency is just not about who was signed, it's about who was traded. And so we've looked at some of the moves that has happened so far. Prior to today, we look at Kevin Durant being moved. We look at Desmond Bain being moved. There's a couple of the deals that has happened prior to this date. But one of the major deals today happened was coming out this whole free agency situation was the whole Michael Porter Jr. trade to Brooklyn for Cam Johnson. So, about this move right here. Now, Denver had to make a move in this offseason. Denver had no choice but to make some type of move. And I think they were trying to be very committed to Michael Porter Jr., but he was not really adding a whole lot of value to that team. Yes, he's a good scorer, but outside of scoring, he was not really adding to that team, in my opinion, from a win share uh, percentage point of view. I think that he just was a liability oftentimes. But now you have the ability to shed his salary, his contract, and move off of Michael Porter Jr. You send him to Brooklyn where they have salary cap to be able to absorb his salary. Now we'll see what ends up being his role in Brooklyn. I don't really see anybody coming back and making a move for Michael Porter in the very near future. I think he'll probably be stuck there for most of the year, if not all year. But I think right now, just looking at this move, I think this is a better move for Denver. I think they pick up, more of a 3 and D type of player, Cam Johnson, who plays both sides of the basketball. I think, you have somebody who's going to be a better rebounder, better defender. I think he's a better fit, probably playing alongside of Joker. They needed somebody who can be a reliable third scorer. I think Cam Johnson can kind of fit that role. But I think what was underrated today was the pickup of Denver, which was kind of expected. Social media from different outlets were, definitely showcasing rumors. But Bruce Brown coming back to Denver and on a minimum deal, I think that was low key uh, one of the greatest things that could happen to Denver. So I think that gives them a lot of versatility right now. And so you move off of you move off of Michael Porter Jr. and you pick up Cam Johnson and basically Bruce Brown in place. So you get two defenders, two players that can add to you offensively to work into this rotation, and you're still trying to develop your young players in Denver. So I don't. I think these two moves don't take away from the development of their young players. It allows the young players to develop, learn from two vets like Bruce Brown and Cam Johnson. But also, when playoff time comes, you have a little bit deeper rotation moving forward in Denver. And so likely you're going to probably see Cam Johnson slide into that small forward spot. Now you can still go with pretty much the same starting five, but now you have a legitimate six man coming off the bench now in Denver. And so you still have the opportunity for players like Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, Christian Braun is probably going to continue to start at the two. More than likely, I don't think you take away from him um, and his continued develop because he really came into his own, and especially Christian Braun. This is going to be a contract year for him as well. Allows him the opportunity to take that next step, and then you have a reliable player like Bruce Brown to come behind to back up, really to back up at the point, back up at the two, back up at the three. Just the versatility that Bruce Brown brings to this team. And so you add a little depth here. They probably could afford to probably bring in another player at some point, probably, maybe another backup guard, um, you know, maybe a backup 4 or 5 type of player. I think Denver could still kind of add to this team. You do get Dayron Holmes, who basically missed his whole rookie year, coming in to maybe serve as your backup five. But maybe you want somebody that's a vet coming in. I'm not sure if they can really rely on Zeke Naji, but you probably want a veteran big. I don't know if they even intend to bring back DeAndre Jordan. If they opt to bring somebody in younger. I think, every time, from uh, you know, plus minus point of view, when it came to Joker leaving the floor, you lost a lot. Like the plus minus went immediately down. So Denver made some really good moves thus far. So also the Mavs picking up D'Angelo Russell, which was kind of expected and rumored over the last couple of days. I mean, I think that's a good, decent stopgap for till Kyrie comes back. He has experience playing with, AD. He's been a starting point guard in this league. Is probably not the person that you want starting all year at the point guard spot, but definitely when you have a team kind of as stacked on paper as Dallas, I think you can get by with D'Angelo Russell. Now, he doesn't offer you a lot on defense. He's not going to be a defensive stopper, but that's when you kind of try to hide him in try to find different coverages to kind of hide them in defense. Kind of use players like P.J. Washington, Najee Marshall as your main defenders. You probably don't want D'Angelo Russell, guarding Shea the whole game or guarding whoever's the best guard on the other team. And so, but I think it's a solid move. You know, um, I think it's a 2-year deal with the player option attached to it allows Russell to probably have another opportunity to, you know, see if this is somewhere he wants to stay for another year, but definitely a good, kind of short term. But also, if need be, you can move Russell back to that bench when Kyrie comes back, and he can be more of a six-man type of guard in that rotation, probably where you want to kind of, limit him in that aspect. I'm not sure you you want him and Kyrie playing together in the backcourt, two kind of very ball dominant guards, and so but Kyrie can make the adjustment. You know, not all the time that D'Angelo Russell can make the adjustment. What I do like that happened today, which I think the team that won day one of free agency, I think, is the Atlanta Hawks. Being able to pick up Nikhil Alexander Walker and Luke Kennard. And so these are not like the names that pop up on paper. It's like, oh my gosh, they won free agency. But I think you have to look at kind of just strategically what Atlanta is doing. Atlanta Hawks are setting themselves up to contend in the East next year. They've added depth to their team. And so I think you have to look beyond today in what Atlanta did. And what Atlanta did, over this past week, because we talked about the KD trade, we talked about the Desmond Bain trade, but we still got to, can't forget about the Kristaps Porzingis trade. Now they get themselves, KP. You never know if he's going to be healthy the full year, but you add a very legitimate starting center. That KP healthy or not, you know, but you want him to stay healthy. It's an upgrade over Clint Capella, and so you have KP. You add him. You get you a young vet in Terrence Mann in that trade kind of was a salary dump, but now you get you a good, role player who for the Clippers last year played the two, the three, the four. He's more probably, a three and D type of player. But you get depth at the wing position with Terrence Mann, and now you pick up Nikhil Alexander Walker, who was six man for Minnesota, played so many key critical roles on that Minnesota team last year, and you pick up a shooter in Luke Kennard. So you strengthen your wing position. And so the depth on this team for Atlanta, you got a team that could carry you into the playoffs on paper. Now, of course, all of this has to come together on the court, but you're looking at a starting lineup of Trey Young, uh, Dyson Daniels, who's, uh, came back. One of your most improved players in the league last year, led the league in steals. Come with your three, the rookie Ricochet. You get Jalen Johnson coming back from injury. Your athletic mobile four, KP at the five. You still have Nkongwu coming off the bench, who was a double double, in the making. Talented, young. You got him on a nice young or a cheap extension moving forward for the next couple of years. You add a grizzled vet in George Nian that was a part of one of those trades as well. So you got a veteran power forward, 6'8", not flashy, but can give you some productions. Going to be tough, give you that attitude out on the floor, and you add Nikhil Alexander Walker, the Kennard. It's this is a nice little team. Atlanta looks like they could be a top four team in the East on paper, on paper. But I like the moves that Atlanta has made. It looks like, which was kind of rumored that, hey, maybe they move off of, Trey Young because he is extension eligible. And I still think you got flexibility, if this year doesn't turn out to be a great year, you know, Trey Young's going into a player option. Does he opt out? You still have a flexible roster moving forward. Maybe you look at trading him at the trade deadline if this year flops, or maybe even, next year if he chooses to opt in, you look at making a move, and or if he opts out, you look at a replacement at the point guard spot. And so, but I like the moves that Atlanta has made. Who I didn't like as a move was the Lakers. The Lakers. The Lakers. What's wrong with the Lakers? They are. Rob Pelinka has been, you know, he'll make a couple really good moves and then just not it. I mean, just to only pick up Jake LaRavia today, you don't get a center. I mean, there's still rumors of DeAndre Ayton maybe coming to LA. Who knows? We don't know. Maybe that's going to come on day two. But they've lost out on just about every center that was on the market. Brook Lopez to the Clippers. Um, Not that he was the greatest fit on the Lakers, but he was a center. You lose out on Kevon Looney. Probably not again, not the greatest fit on the Lakers, but he was a center. Just centers are going left and right. Maybe they're going to get Aiton, maybe not. But to only pick up Jake LaRavia now, it's not a real, it's not a sexy move, right? Jake LaRavia can ball. He's a good player that, can play kind of the three and a four. He's going to be a backup more than likely. He's not probably going to be the player that's going to start, but it's a good cheap move. But it's just like, what are y'all doing? it's it's like so much fear and trying to add around this team, and like you're really risking losing LeBron and Luca. That would be the now they talk about Nico Harrison in Dallas, making like the worst. But what if you drop the ball and lose LeBron next season and Luca, who refuses to sign an extension because he doesn't believe in the direction of this team? And so I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, Luca. I mean, it's not necessarily a free agent next year. I mean, well, he could be in theory. I mean, he has an option year, so literally you could lose. I mean, you're really in danger of losing Luca, Austin Reeves, and LeBron next year.
How do you sleep at night? On a mattress from Mattress Firm. So I sleep.
Oh
Upgrade
man,
to a new bed for.
these recordings, videos that be popping up on the stream is annoying. But I was like, who's talking in my stream? I didn't invite anybody. But in all, you're in danger of losing Luca, LeBron, and Austin Reeves next year because of just foolishness in the way that you put together what you, I don't know, a championship team, a playoff team. I don't even want to say championship team because it's barely a playoff team. But I mean, there's a lot of other smaller moves today. Jordan Clarkson, I thought it was a good signing with the Knicks. They needed somebody off the bench that could score. Probably need some front line help more than anything, but definitely I think that was a good move. Ty Jerome to the Grizzlies. That was a little bit of a weird signing to me, especially the way that Scottie Pippen Jr. played this past year. I don't know. That was just a weird signing to me. So I'm not sure about that Ty Jerome signing to the Grizzlies if that was the best fit for him. I mean, he went and got some money. He went and got a payday. I can't get mad at him, going to get paid, but that was a weird fit for Ty Jerome. You know, the other weird fit is Houston. Now I like the pickup of Dorian Finney-Smith, but at 4 years, that's kind of weird to me. And then it's just Houston has all of these. It's almost like they got a team full of power forwards. Like Jabari Smith, I'm assuming that you're moving to the three. Tari Eason, who's like a power forward, are you going to play him at the three as well? So you got Tari Eason, Jabari Smith, KD, Dorian Finney-Smith, and you still have Cam Whitmore on the team. I don't know if Cam Whitmore is going to still be on this team moving forward. Right now, he's still there. It's a possibility he's been rumored to be moved. Maybe you don't move him right now until you get the right return back. He's still on pretty cheap rookie deal, but it's just a weird mix. I feel like they need a shooting guard, like or a shooter, somebody who can shoot. I don't know if Reed Shepard is that player. He was a baller in college, but it seems like they need more shooting. I mean, they got Thompson. He's probably going to start at the two guard spot, but he's not necessarily a knockdown shooter. Fred VanVleet, maybe they play him a little bit more off the ball. He becomes your shooter. I mean, KD is he's the he's the sniper, but I don't know. And Dorian Finney-Smith is kind of 3 and D. I don't know. I just feel like they need another score. I just don't like this idea of. I just really don't like the idea of KD being like a number one option on this team at 37 years old. I like Houston and the makeup of their team. I like the direction they're going. I respect what they're doing for Ime Udoka as a coach by not just, we invested in you as a coach. You've coached up these young players. You have made the best out of it. We want to reward you by now bringing in some vets to kind of take this team to the next level. I get it. You got a good mix. Now, the other signing, because I think Houston is somewhat winning the offseason, but the other signing that was weird to me for Houston is you go out and sign Clint Capella. Why? You re signed Jeff Green already, who's kind of like your play, backup 4, 5. Why resign Jeff Green and go out here and give Clint Capella 7 million a year for 3 years? Especially after you got Sengun under this pretty nice large contract, and then you just resign Steven Adams. What you need Sengun, Adams, and Clint Capella for? It sounds like they're being greedy right now. And two very different centers. I mean, three three different styles of centers, and not centers. Centers. I don't know. It was a weird signing. I'm not sure I like the whole this roster Houston is putting together. It's weird. It's really, really weird. But hey, they writing the checks, not me. They writing the checks. You got Dennis Schroeder going to Sacramento Kings, which I thought was a good move on their behalf, being able to find a point guard. There was also rumors of Russell Westbrook meeting with the Sacramento Kings. I'm not sure that Russell Westbrook will go to Sacramento now that Dennis Schroeder is there. I think Russell Westbrook will assess his options here. Uh, I'm not sure where Russ is a good fit now. I mean, I thought he was a great fit in Denver, but of course, management wants to develop these other players, and all these other rumors have gone on with Russell Westbrook in the locker room. Not sure what was true, what was not true, but I don't know. It's going to be curious to see who Russell Westbrook ends up signing moving forward. So, not a whole lot of real interesting names, but again, this is the year of the role player. Milwaukee didn't do a whole lot. I think they were probably the other loser on day one. And I think largely they're a loser because they just didn't have any flexibility to do anything but kind of re-sign some of their own free agents. Kevin Porter, Gary Trent, was Torian Prince, Bobby Porter, Bobby Portis. I said Porter. There's so many Porters in the league, but Bobby Portis. You kind of re-signed your own, but you lost Brook Lopez. It's a void at center there. If I'm Giannis, I gotta go. I gotta go. I don't even know why Giannis was waiting because there was limited flexibility of what they could do. I think Giannis gotta go, but we'll see. I don't know if he's just gonna wait and do it very dramatically, but this would have been a great time for him to get traded and moved in this off-season cycle. But we'll see. Not hating on the man. He's won a championship there. It's always hard to leave a place where you feel invested in. And so, but I do think it's time for Giannis to go. Yeah, but not a lot of huge, again, not a lot of huge names. Karis LeVert to the Pistons. I think that was kind of a fallback deal, especially with the whole situation with Malik Beasley and the whole gambling thing. So it looks like probably Malik Beasley is probably not going to be back in Detroit at all next season. But yeah, that's literally that was day one. So it doesn't seem like I think it was a good day one of the role players. I mean, I like as a Bulls fan, I like the Trey Jones coming back to the Bulls, even though that may mean that they might be trading Io or Kobe soon. We'll see what happens in the next couple of days with that. And so I think that kind of puts the Bulls at all 15 roster spots, especially with the addition of their first round pick, which could mean their second round pick will be a two-way player. And so I'm hoping for some other moves from the Bulls just as a fan. We got some of the buyouts. Cole Anthony is looking for a new team, got bought out from Memphis. So it's still going to be interesting in the next couple of days. Not a whole lot of, I wouldn't expect a whole lot of noise as far as player signings because it's not really a lot of big name players out there. I mean, you got players like Ben Simmons and persons trying to find what their next steps. Again, Russell Westbrook, players who are now becoming journeymen in the league. But this is the NBA now. Chris Paul still looking rumored to either go back to the Suns or Clippers. I don't know about that one. I think he probably should. I don't like either of those moves for Chris Paul. I know he want to be close to LA to his family. I don't know. Maybe if I'm him, do I go back up James Harden or do I go back up Devin Booker and Jalen Green? He's probably more needed in Phoenix. We'll see. Sacramento's rumored to meet with Malcolm Brogdon. Yes, day one. Not the sexiest free agency, but this is the free agency we got. But I think that's about it. I'll probably come back and do a little bit of talking about day two of free agency tomorrow if it's still a lot of news, and maybe start to talk about some of the draft and the winners and losers there. I think Atlanta was just kind of to maybe preview that. I think Atlanta was probably one of the winners of the drafts, in my opinion. Didn't, they came out with an extra draft pick in the following year, based on, and of course the KP trade and all of that kind of set up some stuff. But yeah, whole lot of stuff Brooklyn, I think, lost the draft, even though they had 5 draft picks, but really didn't come away with anything that made you like, oh wow, this is going to be a building team going forward. But yeah, and I think Phoenix. I look forward to talking a little bit more about that. I think how Phoenix has really navigated the draft, making a move for Mark Williams, picking up Kamal Malowik, and even a couple of the minor moves that they made, kind of free agency, kind of re-signing Colin Gillespie. I'm interested to see what this other player they picked up um, from the European scene. I know his first name is Nigel. I don't want to get his name wrong, but um, you know, we'll see. We'll see. All right, y'all. I'll be back at another point to talk a little bit more about the hoops. I'm gonna sign off for now, and yeah, PG pressure. That's what we doing. Later.